It's an L, Nick.
All right, time for Nick to hand out some NBA medals. Little T-Wolves, Grizzlies action. Ja scoring 16 points off his season average, but Memphis rallied for a win in this one, so no medal for Ja. But Nick, which three guys did it better last night?
All right, we'll start with the bronze. The reigning MVP, Nikola Jokic, gets a bronze.
Yeah.
Now, you might look at that stat line and say 28-7 gets you on the medal stand. Well, did you see his Raptor and Pi scores last night? If not, his adjusted BPM was off the charts, guys. Trust me, just trust me, or just check Hollinger's Twitter feed. Silver, SGA, 33, 10, and 9 for SGA as they dominate the Nets in Barclays. Also, thanks to Rob Perez, Worldwide Wob, we saw interesting little meeting of the minds between SGA and arguably the greatest agent in sports history, Rich Paul, after the game. Wonder what they could be talking about. And a gold, Giannis. Oh, Giannis. 30, 12, 11 in a total decimation of the Golden State Warriors. Giannis becomes the first player in NBA history to have multiple 30-point triple-doubles playing less than 30 minutes. This game was over at halftime, and for those wondering, did Steph Curry's shooting slump end? He was 4 for 11 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3, which raised his averages since Christmas. So Steph getting back on the right track. Got to listen to Mark Jackson say he's the MVP. Mark, watch the games. This is the MVP. He's been bad for 3 weeks. There's the medal stand. Sorry, Wilds, I know it's your buddy.
Again,
I like you, Mark.
Saying, I am not worried.
There goes that man.
About this team at all. Hey, Mac and Belichick have the most to gain. That's according to Nick. But will they even get past the Bills tomorrow night? Asked and answered next. First things first. From winning it all this year.
Oh, it's my favorite time of year. Jenna, you know that. Playoff football. We do this every year. Most to gain. One rule, and this should add to some suspense for the end of the list. I did not include anyone from teams that have no chance of winning the Super Bowl. So as the list gets shorter and shorter, it's like, oh, is my team going to make it? So just as a spoiler, as a for instance, you're not going to see a Big Ben. He could have his third Super Bowl. Well, no, he couldn't. He could sprout wings and fly far, far away. So, like, no Steelers on the list because their season is already over. So, number 8, Tom Brady. You might say, Nick, how's Brady so low? Tom Brady has entered the category of people who could least use $10 billion. You know who's on the top of that list? Bezos and Musk. It's like, well, what are you going to put it with the other billions of dollars? Like, at this point, if you walk down the street and you say to a random sports fan, how many Super Bowls does Tom Brady have? I think most of them get it wrong. I think they're like, is it 7? Does he have 8? I don't. So you just put it with the rest. He doesn't have that much to gain, if we're being honest. That is a compliment to Brady. He was in this exact spot on the list last year and won the damn thing. Number 7, Dak. Oddly, it doesn't feel like it would move the needle as much as it would for the guys above him on this list. Now, the Cowboys obviously could win the Super Bowl. But because the story of this year has not been Dak got to another level, it's the defense got to another level. It obviously would be a vindication for Mike McCarthy. It'd be very embarrassing for me if Mike McCarthy all of a sudden has 2 Super Bowl rings. But Dak, any quarterback that wins Super Bowl has something to gain. Dak, I don't think has as much to gain as the next guy, starting with Josh Allen. This is, talk about my worst nightmare. Josh Allen, if they win the Super Bowl, given how much it would mean they beat the Chiefs in round 2 in Arrowhead, and then they go on to win the Super Bowl, folks would argue Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the AFC, and it wouldn't be a ludicrous argument. I wouldn't like it. In fact, I would hate it.
Wow.
In fact, I would consider a change of profession, but I would have to listen to it. So Josh Allen can take the belt from Mahomes. He's got to beat McCorkle. He's got to beat Mahomes. Then obviously AFC Championship game and so on and so forth. Number 5, Matt Stafford. This is it'd be big for Stafford. You know who would be bigger for? Retired NFL quarterbacks that feel like they got screwed over by their franchises. Don't you think that if Matt Stafford wins the Super Bowl, Jeff George is going to be watching saying, I told you I could have done it. Phillip Rivers watching, he's like, God, dog it. See, you just need to put me in the right spot. This guy was in Detroit for a decade, goes to the Rams and wins. Also for him, it'd be total vindication. And for a guy who's number one pick of the draft, has all those 5,000-yard seasons, if they were to win the Super Bowl, I won't agree with it, but people will start saying, hey, is Matt Stafford a Hall of Famer? He isn't, but that conversation will start. Number 4, Aaron Rodgers. If Rodgers wins this Super Bowl, he's going to win this MVP. I think quarterback Mount Rushmore becomes Brady, Manning, Montana, Rodgers. I understand Gil Brandt and Peter King are very mad at the lack of inclusion of Johnny Unitas. My apologies to Johnny U. But that's what it would be. Right now, that 4th spot on Mount Rushmore is wide open. Is it Dan Marino? Is it Brett Favre? Is it John Elway? Is it Roger Staubach? Is it Terry Bradshaw? I think Rodgers would stake a clear claim to it with a win. Speaking of Mount Rushmore's, number 3 is Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes would have accomplished more in 5 years than Rodgers, than Breeze in their careers from a winning perspective. He would not only be actually really credibly in the midst of a dynasty, but also would dead forever the is something wrong with Mahomes takes if he ever has a slump again. If they win the Super Bowl this year, when he was the down year and all that nonsense we had to hear, PFF has him as the 10th best quarterback in football, and it'd be the greatest start to a career in NFL history. Number 2, Joe Burrow. If Joe Burrow wins, here's the question. Is this the greatest 3-year stretch for a quarterback ever? Nick, what do you mean? Well, in the last 3 years, he's been healthy twice. He had an undefeated national championship season in college, the greatest statistical college season ever, and he followed it up with his first healthy year as a pro, winning the Super Bowl for the Bengals. Winning a Super Bowl for the Bengals actually counts as 3. He would also now have more rings than Rodgers and Breeze and Mahomes, all those guys. He would have 3 of them. And then, all right, I know Cardinals fans and Niners fans and Titans fans, they're like, nobody from my team has been revealed. Is it number 1? They're not coming out. McCorkle and Belichick, most to gain. Oh,
Let's
soak
go.
it in.
Wow. Let's go.
McCorkle and Belichick, the most to gain. You guys know I don't believe in the baby goat nonsense. But if they win the Super Bowl, and he's, dinking and dunking his way there, that does feel a little Brady-ish. And for Belichick, Broussard, I think he's already the greatest coach ever. But I think in the Brady-Belichick, who's winning the divorce, I think Belichick doesn't just catch up, takes the lead. I think winning the Super Bowl with this Patriots team this year would be more impressive than Brady winning it with that Bucs team last year. Now, I don't think they're going to do it. However, it would be disrespectful of the Patriots and of Belichick to say they have no chance, like the Titans. Sorry, Titans.
Okay.
Titans actually did have a bye. I'm giving them no chance. But, so there it is. Most to gain. You can't say I'm not dripping with objectivity. I've got McCorkle and Burrow ahead of my guy. Pretty good. Broussard, your take.
All right, a fun list, Nick. Very fun. But I start with this. I do believe Arizona, San Francisco, and Tennessee have a shot. So I would like to see Cliff Kingsbury, and Kyler Murray on there like a split, just like Belichick and McCorkle. And I'd like to see Jimmy G somewhere in there. But dealing with the 8 that you have, my major issue, I agree with 1 and 2. My major issue is Mahomes has to move way back. I think Mahomes goes to 7 ahead of only Brady.
7?
All right, and I say that, look, you're right. He would gain a ton, obviously, from winning his 2nd Super Bowl. He would restore the belief that he is the best quarterback in the NFL right now and that he is en route to potential GOATdom, as you and I have said. All right, there are definitely gains for him, as there are for everybody. But I just think, look, he's so young, and anybody that knows NFL history doesn't expect him to get to the Super Bowl or win it every year. It just doesn't happen. And anybody that would write him off because he didn't win the Super Bowl this year is just crazy and doesn't know the history of the game. Tom Brady went a decade, Nick, without winning a Super Bowl. All right, so Mahomes would have time left where he could rack up not only another Super Bowl, but many. So that's why I don't think he's ahead of like Rodgers and Stafford. I do think Stafford probably punches his ticket to the Hall of Fame, and you're right about Rodgers and what he would gain. So I just think Mahomes is about 7 ahead of